Welcome to another week of Final Fantasy XIII Let's Play. We're on episode 9, and I'm joined again by...
Hello, I'm Izala.
This week we are catching back up with Saz and Vanille.
And a visual tone change.
Yes, very much so.
Fake trees to real ones.
Yeah, I guess playing through, I didn't actually make that connection.
Fresh air. Nice.
So, where we headed?
Dunno.
You don't know? I thought you had somewhere in mind the way you took off.
I followed the smell.
What?
Smells nice. All naturey.
I wonder if Sauce is regretting his choice.
Just smells damp. And I think something bit me.
Hide!
Scott. Closest city that way is Palampolam. That is not good. I wonder if those two were caught in the net.
What do we do?
What do we do? Right now, what can we do?
Right. No choice. We run the other way.
Which would
Yeah.
be
Just keep doing that.
to Nautilus.
As we set off, it was like he'd forgotten that I was still there.
So this is the Sunlit Waterscape. It has
You want to get to
probably my
Nautilus?
favorite track
Roads through here.
in the game for background. It's just a banger. And since our Crystarium points carry over, we basically max out 2 of the roles here. There's a couple of nodes we can't get with the experience that we have, but it's pretty close. We get Quake for both Saz and Vanille, so whenever either of them is in charge, we can now do that preemptive strike thing, which is nice. But party changed again. Got to reset all my rolls. Upgrades. Just keep going.
You gotta do it. Because, like, the characters you're not controlling would fall... Well, they don't necessarily fall behind because you have all of this stuff at your disposal, but you haven't been upgrading them, basically.
Yeah.
So you gotta catch up.
You going or what?
Yeah, even Saz is annoyed with how long I take to do some of that stuff, though.
Right?
So in the first area, we had a lot of there was Lake Brescia turned into the giant ice lake, which is ice crystal, I guess. And then there was like crystallized fire in the one temple area. I'm guessing we have crystallized water here, like the crystal structures in the background. But what caused their crystallization?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Like, we just kind of assumed that the Fal'Cie caused all the crystallized because it showed that. It could just be rule of cool.
Well, I believe I think it's in the data log for this location, they mention it's basically, this is kind of like a nature preserve area that's run by, I don't remember the name of this particular Fal'Cie, but I think they imply that he is able to control, like, the weather.
Okay, that makes sense
Here.
with something that we'll see in a little bit.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, actually. You mentioned the track here being a banger. This is one of the songs that's essentially just like a remixing or whatever of the motif of the main theme for Final Fantasy XIII.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of 2 tracks that adds lyrics.
Yeah, true. It takes a while for them to show up for the lyrics. We get it a couple of times, I think, at least in some of the sped up sections that take forever. But yeah, I don't think I notice what the lyrics say, so maybe we'll try and listen to those when they come out.
And the other song that does it is Sarah's
This is
theme.
better than homicidal
okay.
scorpion robots and mountains of trash.
There's many more that still reference the motif. Those are just the 2 that have
This
words.
place to make a nice picnic spot, minus all the uninvited guests.
Yeah, so New Day. It's definitely a happier, more cheerful tune.
Yes.
Where's the weed killer?
I think I just heard Sa say, "Where's the weed killer?"
It made the tomatoes even stronger, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are basically your fodder enemies for this area. They're based on Flans, standard, basically slime enemy from Final Fantasy, but tomato themed because it's more biological mass stuff in that area. Sure.
I'm guessing after going through kind of how the beginning of the game started out in like the outskirts of Cocoon, and then you go through the Vile Peaks, they probably just wanted something more bright.
Yeah, I mean the previous area with Lightning and Hope was bright, but very technological. This is definitely more in the nature-based stuff. And tomatoes, I guess we're making fried tomatoes? They're weak to fire. There's a shortcut here.
You'd think Vanilla could make that jump, right?
But yeah, I remember this place being like a much longer excursion. It had much more staying power in my mind. Like, I remember being here for a while and really enjoying it.
I think it's mostly the song.
Yeah, probably.
Because I'm pretty certain that you aren't even able to come back here later in the game. A lot of these battles are just only Flans.
Yeah, it's I think Sazzy Vanille's like sections get the most required combat, maybe? That's probably not necessarily right. I think there's ways I could skip some of these, I'm sure. But they definitely seem to have the most number of encounters. But most of their encounters end up being like fodder enemies. And we now have the most rolls, I think, available with these two too.
Right. It is starting to open up a bit.
So that weapon we just got increases our debuffing. It's a higher chance of applying it. It's great, but for the enemies that we're facing right now, it's not going to do a lot. I do actually like using the debuffs with Vanille, and we will certainly see some of that.
So what were you standing on there? It looked like a gigantic part of a chopped down tree.
That seems like a log. I learned about, what is it? Copsing and plating? Apparently there's 2 different ways that you can cut trees and it causes them to regrow. Weird associations.
To the victor go the spoils.
I don't think I can apply herbology or agriculture information to this video game world controlled by machine gods.
Yeah, I mean, if you accept that Falsi can basically do anything, including, like, controlling the weather, I guess there's not much that's off limits.
Quake, still being a bro. Yeah, I legitimately don't remember using Quake at all in original runs.
Well, you had to reserve your TP just in case you'd have to summon in an emergency,
Yeah.
right? So
It's like potions in old school. I guess potions in this game too, because I haven't touched them. So, stagger maintenance, especially when he is commando, basically it effectively freezes, for all intents and purposes, the stagger bar. I have no problem with that. He is our commando for this party comp.
did it just give you a single enemy encounter
Yup.
there?
A single preemptive strike encounter against a single flank. Again, I can easily avoid some of these fights. Well, they're definitely paced much closer back to back. Like we would typically in the previous section, we would see like 3 or 4 groups maybe together, and then there'd be a large section in between. We're getting like 5 or 7 encounters here, plus some off-branch ones. Which again, I like the interaction of the combat in this game, but it's not engaging with these enemy types. That's just another Doctor's Code accessory, the ones that increase the potion value when we use them. We had one on Hope earlier, I believe.
Dock on the other side of these trees.
Hey, Saz. Tell me about yourself.
Huh?
Any family?
I have a little boy.
Oh, so you're married?
How is that the takeaway?
I was, yeah.
Like, why not? Like, oh, so you're a dad. It's like, oh, well, the boy's irrelevant. It obviously just means that you're married. It's such a weird response.
Come on, we'll make it.
It's too late.
Is it the Lassie thing?
How'd you...
You might be a Lassie, but you're still a daddy.
You're right.
So, what's his name?
Blitzball.
Yes, another Blitzball flashback.
Dodge.
Hey, Dad.
And there's neon in the background. You were right.
Making a wish, huh? What'd you wish for?
Well, you're never happy. You never smile. So here's what I wished. I wish that you'd cheer up and be like your old self again.
How about that?
Whoa.
Your wish came true.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, it's my turn to wish.
What for, Dad?
That's my little secret.
Yeah, we can't reveal that much plot just yet.
Saz,
Huh?
you all right?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Pops. You've really got to keep it together, okay? Now, let's go.
Now I got kids looking out for me. Some dad I am.
See, Dodge messed up. He should have wished for Saz's right hand to turn into a popsicle stick. Yeah, so there's a new enemy type that we're going to be running into. This is the game telling you, hey, don't fight this. We promptly ignore that and then fight it. Basically, it starts with a hard shell, but they give you 2 of them immediately that are preemptive strike fodder.
Would you look at that view? I know someone who'd love to be seeing all
The
this.
horizon here kind of hides the fact that we're inside a giant sphere.
Well, it's giant.
Yeah, but I feel like you would still... It would curve the other way, right?
I don't know. Are you inside, or does it function more like a giant planet? That part has never been particularly clear.
Well, because the Eden thing when we flew up was in the middle of the thing, and you could actually see the cities when we did the night shots. But I guess technically you could be on the outside for certain sections.
That would be a little weird.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought we were... I thought it pretty well convinced that we were on the inside.
I mean, the nice part about them not having the areas like continuously connected is that they don't have to deal with answering those questions.
But yeah, this is the enemy it was warning us about. We immediately preemptive striked and then staggered it, which gave us a window to apply debuffs and do substantial damage to it. In particular, there is one ability that will be used on Saz here shortly, which is the main threat that these guys pose. Yeah, when their shell is up, their stagger is pretty well reduced. And everything is halved elemental-wise. Yeah, so just basically, it takes a while to fight these. What does cause problems is if it's not staggered, you can't interrupt its attack. And one attack it has is a shock breath, I think is what they call it. And it pretty much one-shots. So that gets targeted on MC. You are, shocking breath. Yep, there he goes. Bye, Sass.
I owe ya.
Take that! Keep up, old man!
Unfortunately, Saz's Synergist doesn't have Protect or Shell yet, which would help mitigate the damage from that.
Follow my lead, Pops!
You just gotta basically hope that Vanille doesn't get targeted with it, and you'll be fine.
Keep up, old man!
I owe ya.
For you! Change is good, Pops! Follow my lead, Pops!
now it has weaknesses to some of the things, and it's also only susceptible to debuffs when its shell is off. And it's a decent amount of experience, but for the time it takes to whittle these guys down, it's really not worth it. So listening to the game is actually beneficial here, except there's a chest. So one thing that we didn't use last time was poison. It's not the most damage, but it is a continuous source of damage even when its shell is up. I think this fight ends up going much faster because of getting that poison up out there. So yeah, they're hitting for like 150 maybe. I'm not sure if we actually see the ticks of the poison or not. But I think it's hitting for somewhere around 400. So just having that little extra DPS going on this entire time. You can also try to burn through the stagger a lot more. Saz survived. Only just.
Good thing you're not controlling him.
Yeah. So I did end up actually wiping to this fight once because Viniel got one hit from max HP.
The game tried to warn you.
Yeah. But then it also put a chest immediately next to a thing that I wouldn't be able to grab.
And again, I do think this game is at its best, at least as far as the combat goes, when it is more difficult and actually forces you to understand and use the battle system as it is
100%.
intended.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the strongest Final Fantasies, at least modern, that utilize buffs and debuffs well. They're pretty substantial. And we don't even have the full suite yet.
Follow my lead, Pop.
And trying to time those buffs and debuffs up when they're going into stagger as much as you can. And the fact that stagger can allow for additional ones to be applied, that it like basically changes phase on some enemies. This chest is worth it because those guys drop the iron shells and only one at a time, and that chest is worth 15. So now we're just going to ignore the rest of those. And yeah, they are very slow, so dodging them is a non-issue. I think the first time when I came through here, I tried to ignore the tutorial and fight literally all of them for some reason, without having fully understood how important buffs and debuffs were.
So, random fun fact about this area while you go through all of these fights again. The original trailer where they announced this game, I believe at E3 2006, actually shows Lightning walking through this area.
Oh, okay.
And of course, she's not actually a playable character here. So, it's just a little interesting. Yeah. Like, I guess it could mean that at one point they had planned her to be there, but I think more than likely it was just like, well, they had this area modeled and they wanted to show off the main character, and that's just what they did.
Yeah, I know Lightning as a character is like huge in Japan. It's obviously main character is always like a popular character. It for some reason something with her presentation didn't come through as much here. A lot more people were cynical of Lightning, and I think that scared them off of having female main characters for a bit.
You look tired. Not enough sleep?
I guess.
Not surprising. Cute girl like me. It's hard to close your eyes, huh?
Jeez.
I'm just gonna lie down for a bit.
Being made of the sea, it's not easy. I mean, look. Even I'm kind of worried. But even if we don't know what'll happen, we have to keep our dreams alive. Have something to look forward to. You know?
Next stop is Nautilus, City of Dreams.
Yep.
She knows what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time she's ever heard of that town.
I guess it's just nap time.
Well, he's tired, so honestly, it's a nice place to take a rest. Like,
What? Sass? Huh?
I'm making sure.
Well,
Took another party member away from me. I need to be ready for this.
those paradigms you had to choose from are
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
I'm ready to fight Saz in a field of white flowers.
Sass?
You scared me.
What's up?
I'm just thinking.
Don't blame yourself. You know, you can't control who a FLC picks for a focus.
My son Dodge. He was picked. He's a Lassie.
This is the whole family of Lassie.
Wait, he's married?
He said he wanted to see a
Now he has a
FLC.
son.
So, I took him to go on a tour of the Uriday Gorge plant. Thought I'd surprise him with a chocobo chick to take home, but the second I turned my back, into the energy plant he went.
Well, who's that?
Dodge! Dodge, come out here! Dodge! I know you're in here! Dodge! Where are you? Say something! Dodge! Hey, what's wrong? Dodge!
Daddy,
It's all right. You okay? You're not hurt, are you? What's that?
Maybe emotionally.
Apparently, those post-Lassie had snuck in and tried to attack the Sanctum Fal'Cie. It did the only thing it could and made Dodge a Lassie to protect it. My son, he got picked by a Sanctum Fal'Cie. He's a hero. But we're post-Lassie. Dodge's enemies. PSICOM showed up right after that to take custody of him. Then, it was one test after another. Even then, they couldn't figure out his focus. Maybe it was look for post-Lassie, maybe it was kill him. Either way, how could a kid that young even stand a chance? After he was made a lessee, Dodge had some way of sensing things from Pulse. He was the one who found the Pulse File C. But the kid can't fight. So, that's why I put myself on the train to Purgeville. I figured his focus had to have something to do with destroying that Pulse File C. Thought I could do it for him, and, well, you know the rest. If I was right about his focus, he's probably a crystal already. Of course, if he was supposed to take out that thing's lessee, then either we die, or he's a Seath.
Die? Really?
Everyone needs a chocobo to remind them sometimes.
It's a pickle, all right. But the bird says no.
It's a good chocobo.
And Saz has to follow the bird's word.
Where's the camera when you need one?
So that's probably one of the more important cutscene reveals this far.
Yeah.
I would say, just also finally contextualizes a lot of.
Why is Saz here?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's in the very beginning of the game when you fight Anima. He kind of just joins you for seemingly no reason, but
He does yell dodge, but you have no idea what
Yeah,
that
right.
means.
he could have just been a fan of the car company.
And this is what we were referencing earlier.
A
There's...
device that makes bad weather.
Yup. Every household needs one.
Yeah.
Come out to play in the rain, did you?
And I think I had the
Isn't
same
that
thought the
adorable?
first time I encountered this stuff. I don't know what the actual purpose was. So you can swap it between sunny and rainy, and it changes the enemies you're facing. Some of them are harder setups, so is it just supposed to be you swap to have an easier fight going through? It's not anything locked behind one thing or the other as far as I can tell.
Right. And they just really set that up as a thing for this area, and it's an area to which you never return after this chapter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
I maybe have a vague memory of a much later section having those same orbs. Possibly. But yeah, these frogs dance and summon extra frogs. As you do.
But yeah, and by the way, I looked it up earlier about whether you're on the inside or outside of Cocoon, because I had to know. And it is actually the inside.
Okay, that makes sense based on the map that you found and where Eden is positioned as the sun of Cocoon.
Yeah. It says, it has the appearance of a small planetoid, but is hollow and the inhabitants live inside of the shell, similar in concept to a Dyson sphere. So, there you go. Settled.
But even when it's sunny, you can't see.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can definitely see it at
Notice
night
anything
with
different about
the way
local
the
wildlife when the sun's out?
paths were illuminated, but a lot of the areas don't play with that. And some of the areas may have been finished before they fully conceptualized that. Man, I know a lot of the early
We regulate
promo
the
stuff
weather.
was
Might be able to control these nasty critters.
with Cocoon, the pendant and everything like that. But these games take a while to make. And yeah, so I made it sunny again, and now we're fighting more Flan. If I made it rainy, we'd be fighting more frogs. I don't know if either of them are necessarily worth more experience or drop-wise. They're both bio enemies, so I'm assuming we're basically getting the same upgrade drops if I were to sit here and farm them. But that hasn't felt necessary yet either. So it just seems like a weird time to introduce this mechanic that ends up not having any real oomph to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like besides the changing the enemies or whatever, it could serve like a world building purpose if they like actually explained.
Yeah.
That
instead of just being a omnipotent orb that you press and just happens to change.
Right. Because they do mention in the data log, at least I'm pretty sure that's where it's mentioned, that the Fal'Cie can control the weather and that this is a nature preserve where things are studied. So like, okay, but you don't really mention that in the game, and yet you introduced those, so that's just a little weird.
And yeah, like I could have changed the enemy type here to not fight this thing, but I figured we need to fight it at least once, and it doesn't look like it's going to kill me necessarily. It's not an easy fight, but... yeah, an enemy uses debuffs on us. And it bites us with its butt. I don't understand the evolutionary benefit of having 2 mouths.
Yeah. It's just more mouths to feed, you know.
This one doesn't really change between regular and stagger. That deep red definitely does hurt when it uses bite. Yeah, she probably would have died there if it didn't get the speed protect.
Yeah.
It's fine.
At least you did get Saz back in the party right away. And then
Yeah.
having to fight this.
Yeah, I think if I was down to 1 person for a little bit, I definitely would have always chosen the what seemed like the easier fights. I don't even know what the alternative to that is. Probably frogs. Yeah, now we have... excuse me. Now we have the wyvern with some gremlins. So we're just gonna not go that way. We'll go back that way another time. I'm just staring at Saz, longing.
These lands really are just like rotten tomatoes.
Always better with caramel, though.
Another thing I forgot to mention about the music, and this is actually something I just figured out recently, kind of by accident. Mentioned that it was like one of 2 songs that use the melody from the main theme that have lyrics, and the words are actually all in English. Even in the Japanese version of the game, still has English lyrics here, but the lyrics are still different between the Japanese and the international version. They're not very significant changes, like they don't really change the meaning of anything, but they are just like slightly different versions for whatever reason.
I know some of the earlier ones, like maybe 10-2, they had a English main theme and a international main theme, which was Japanese, or maybe it was Japanese and international. They definitely did change the themes occasionally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Final Fantasy X had, oh god, I'm not going to say it right, but Usuteki Dene, or whatever it was. It wasn't like the main theme of Final Fantasy X, I don't think.
Okay.
But I believe that was just Japanese in all versions of the game. I don't remember.
It's been too long, which is saying something.
And I don't know if there's a difference between like the HD remaster that came out more recently and the original. Because that came out when Square was still releasing, like, when they released the International Edition, it had extra content that they went back and re-released it, and, you know, all kinds of stuff happened.
Now we get DLC.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that 7 remake Intergrade.
I'm excited.
So we saw the bet to rain just to get through this tunnel, and I don't know if it was a better play or not. Without basically going through twice with each of the weather effects, like, and I would be so far ahead of Crystarium if I did any additional farming at this point. It just seems weird. You let them summon, though, and fights definitely take a lot longer.
Yeah.
I think up to a certain point you do get additional Crystarium, but I don't think the little frogs are worth that much individually. And just capping off our Crystarium. We are maxed for both with an extra, like, 800. Which means there's a loading tunnel.
That's not good.
Like, you could have seen these much further back, right? You didn't have to walk
Yes.
this close to them.
Like, that loading tunnel was also pretty straight, so I feel like before you even got to the opening, you would have seen them.
Just too much to ask to cut me one break, isn't it?
Well, they knew they got the their max level of their Crystarium, so they were just getting cocky.
Yeah.
So basically, one of these guys is weak to lightning, and the other one is weak to water, and they're immune to the other side. So focus one, go to town. For some reason, I remember this model, so I'm thinking that they possibly come back as regular enemies in the future.
It wouldn't be shocking.
We also have different battle music here. I've been fast forwarding through most of it, so I've replaced the music there, but like this slow jazz riff almost. And yeah, they both cast Protect, and then they do melee damage. One of the synergist buffs that we got from Saz was the Thunder, so he's able to apply a Thunder element to our base attacks, and one of them would be Thunder, so...
I owe ya.
Yeah, and I wish there was some way to incapacitate the other one or something, because definitely we get debuffs applied to us constantly, and since they hurt so much, we want to try and mitigate them as much as possible.
Yeah, like some way of just putting it to sleep or whatever
Yeah.
would have helped.
And it's able to buff itself and cleanse.
That's a lot of buffs too.
Yeah.
And worst of all, it looks like it has haste.
Yeah, luckily we staggered it so we could interrupt its attack. Otherwise, I don't want to know what would happen there. Stagger drop is very slow, however. So it having haste is a potential problem, but if you stagger right before it goes into its buff mode, you can basically have it ignore all attacks. But yeah, it hurts.
At least it looks like one stagger is all it's going to take there.
Yeah.
And with only one, it shouldn't be as bad.
Definitely not. You can get stuck healing a lot, though, which I think is the constant problem with only having 2 party members. We also have the water. And luckily it does overwrite, so we're not stuck with it doing thunder instead. Yeah, it used its buff much faster. And it does not like the fact that we killed his brother. Husband. The other one.
I think they're brothers. The names, I think I looked this up at one point, and they come from like Sumerian mythology or something.
Okay.
If I remember right, I couldn't really find a link between like what they were in the mythology to the role they play here, because one of them is supposed to be like the Lord of the Air, but neither of them are flying. So
I mean, but one of them is thunder element.
yeah, and they may have tied it in like via the elements, because one of them would have been air and the other would have been earth and water, I believe.
Okay. And they were weird tree creatures with broken horns?
Oh, that I don't know. I was just looking for the significance of the name.
The city of dreams.
We're going to Vegas.
If
Yeah.
only we were dreaming up those clouds.
I mean,
Excuse me. I don't know if it's time to be daydreaming.
Excuse me. I have to look through my inventory. Yeah, we're able to burn down some of our Crystarium we got. Basically, just a larger arrow attack.
Just gonna run and take a look ahead.
we're definitely out of all of the wide open like green
Yeah,
fields and stuff now.
more rocky caves. Got it.
Yeah. Well, we need to load assets or something, probably.
Climbing over's out. I don't suppose there's a hole anywhere in this fence.
Nope, totally not.
That's so convenient.
It's the one that's sparking,
Board
too.
the ship over there.
Right.
Huh?
Oh.
It was just raining so much. I think the data log does mention, it may have been on an earlier one, I'm having a memory of saying when rain is basically
When it rains
scheduled.
around here, it pours.
So it's
When it
less of a
rains some-
forecast and more of a, hey, it's going to rain now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the advantage of controlling the weather.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? Look at this mess it's gotten us all into. Of course, it's not to say I always hated it. Seemed fishy. All that sanctum ranting about the threat from Pulse. Only a matter of time before they strike. Pulse is infested with monsters. Scare after scare. Not even a shred of proof. Tired old cynics like me? We don't just swallow that tabloid crap. No, not me. I figured the Sanctum was up to something crooked.
Weird.
At least until I got dragged in.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, all this purge business, it really only happened because Dodge found that Pulse Fal'Cie.
You're wrong.
Uh-oh.
Don't blame him. It was all...
Yeah, you're right. It was that scum from Pulse behind it.
Yup.
Yeah.
I might as well have tried to stop the rain.
I just want to point out that during her not confession, it's playing Vanille's theme in the background, which is titled Face It Later.
Getting so.
I'll be fine. It's only water.
Yeah, she has high water resistance.
Being from Pulse, yeah, you know.
Yeah. Whoa, spoilers. They haven't shown her in cutscenes saying the Pulse people or anything yet. Yeah. So next time we meet up with Vanille and Saz, we'll be going to Nautilus, the City of Dreams. Thanks for watching.
See ya.